one of the greatest hockey players ever, Guy Lafleur, has died at the age of 70. Number 10 forever, Hall of Famer, all-time leading scorer in the history of the Montreal Canadiens, Le Démon Blonde, the blonde demon. His end-to-end rushes, that incredible hair flowing. What an indelible image for so many people. His 50 goals, his 100 points in 6 consecutive seasons. CBC's Jamie Strachan has a look back at the life and the legacy of the player known as the Flower.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
During Guy Lafleur's 17-year NHL career, he scored 560 goals. His biggest, likely this 1979 goal against the Boston Bruins. The Canadiens went on to win the Stanley Cup that year, their 4th cup in 4 years.
Lafleur with a burst to speed, works through, shoots, goal!
Lafleur was referred to as the Flower and dominated the Quebec sports landscape in the 70s and early 80s. He enjoyed 14 seasons in Montreal, rewriting the record book along the way. It wasn't always easy.
Didn't play much the first 3 years and didn't have any confidence. And I think when Scotty started to play me more, I got more confidence.
Lafleur quickly became a star on the ice and was known to enjoy his time away from the rink as well. For his entire career, Lafleur was a heavy smoker, burning through more than a pack a day, even smoking between periods. He quit in 2019 after being diagnosed with lung cancer. In 1981, Lafleur narrowly avoided catastrophe when he crashed his Cadillac after a game. Lafleur played 3 more seasons in Montreal before a bitter dispute with management led to his abrupt retirement. Lafleur was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1988.
When I was a kid, all I wanted to be is to become a hockey player. Not a star, nor a Superman.
But he wasn't done playing. The same year, he returned to the ice with the New York Rangers.
Lafleur makes the move, and again. Lafleur comes in. Another move. He's taken down. He shoots wide.
Before finishing his career with the Quebec Nordiques.
Lafleur shot, score!
Lafleur's legacy was vast. 5 Stanley Cups, 2 MVP awards, and in 2017, he was named one of the 100 best players in NHL history. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
You know, if you're at the Bell Centre in Montreal, maybe you've been there, you've seen those bronze statues, the 4, greats from the Habs. Well, you can stand in this shadow of Guy Lafleur, 8 or 9 feet high, and you can probably feel all the good vibes that come off of that. Sarah Levitt is right there in Montreal. She is outside the Bell Centre. Sarah, people are going to be gathering there today. What's the prep like there?
Well, as you can see, right now he's getting buffed up, prepared for the people who are going to come by. This statue, it's about 7 feet tall, right outside the Bell Centre. Somebody came by earlier and put flowers down, and they just set this up, actually. They set up a little area around it and rolled out the red carpet. Already people have come by, as indicated by the flowers, but also just to pay tribute, to look at the hero of Quebec, and not only Quebec, of Canada, Flower, or the Le Démon Blonde, who's the demon blonde. The blonde demon, I should say, because of his long blonde hair going through the ice flowing. But, there's been lots of reaction, most of it sad, but obviously commemorating this hero. And I will say that the accolades have come in all over from Twitter. We have Prime Minister Justin Trudeau offering his condolences and his thoughts. And also Premier François Legault is holding a press conference later today just to talk about Guy Lafleur. And that kind of tells you how much of a hero he was here in Quebec, but across Canada.
And Sarah, we'll all be listening to hear details about a funeral. I mean, as you mentioned, such an icon there in Quebec and across the country, really. I mean, who didn't love to watch Guy Lafleur and hasn't seen those video of Guy Lafleur helmetless with the blonde hair flying and think what a great player. So I suppose we'll be watching and waiting for details about that. In the meantime, what is the atmosphere like in that province? I mean, you can probably feel it in Quebec for such a great player.
Well, I can just tell you in the days before this, there were rumors of his health. He was not perfectly healthy, and so there was like a sort of anticipation that this might happen, and of course that came with the accolades. And so people already today coming by to pay their respects, and as you say, we'll see what happens. He's here now. And next to him is Jean Béliveau, who had a state funeral here in Quebec. And so I wouldn't expect anything less for Guy Lafleur in Quebec.
Sarah, you mentioned Jean Béliveau. That was one of his hockey heroes. I mean, Béliveau's play inspired Guy Lafleur, and even at 5, 10 years old, he was doing incredible stuff on the ice, with the puck. So it's sort of fitting, as you say, that Béliveau had a state funeral, and maybe that will be the same for Guy Lafleur. There's got to be a lot of love for him in Quebec.
And it's funny because Guy Lafleur started playing in the NHL right when Jean Béliveau left the NHL. And it's sort of like, here's my hero, the person that I want to be. And he took over that big personality, that big play on the ice. And some would say, in some cases, surpassed him with his goal scoring and his success winning Stanley Cups for the Montreal Canadiens. So I would expect nothing less for Guy Lafleur, really a hero here.
Absolutely. And Sarah, I know you're going to be staying there, and we'll be talking later. Perhaps there will be people bringing flowers, and we'll see what the reaction that you're getting out there is. But thanks for that. And as they buff up the statue, the bronze behind you, we'll continue to watch for what happens there at the Bell Center. So Sarah will join us later. Now, I mentioned reaction. It is pouring in for this death of a hockey legend. CBC's John Northcott is going through all of that. And what are you seeing, John?
Good morning, Suhanna. We can talk about this breaking news, if you will, in terms of the reaction from the Canadiens. And we'll put that up and read it to you, what they are saying. The entire Montreal Canadiens organization is mourning the loss of a legendary Hall of Famer and Canadiens ambassador, Guy Lafleur, who passed away at the age of 70. Rest in peace, Guy. There it is there, and a couple of iconic images there of the man in full flight going down the ice. And that is how it's being remembered by so many. But a personal note, we can tell you that the news had been rumored. His health, of course, tenuous for a couple of years, surgeries, but his family by his side, and a tweet, in fact, it was on Facebook, from his sister this morning, confirmed the rumors that had been circulating for a couple of days that he was not doing well. And this coming short in her comment, his sister Lise saying on Facebook, Guy, I love you. You are done suffering. You will be greatly missed. Hearing from the Prime Minister, as Sarah Levitt was saying, and this is the text of what he tweeted out. Guy Lafleur, or the Flower, unlike anyone else on the ice, his speed, skill, and scoring were hard to believe. A record setter, 5-time Stanley Cup champion, he inspired countless Quebecers, Canadians, and hockey fans around the world. Will miss you, number 10. Of course, the reference there to his number, retired, only one of 5 at that time, retired by the Canadiens. Hayley Wickenheiser, a legend in her own right on the ice, saying this, another great gone too soon. The reference to Mike Bossy going earlier in the week. Feel fortunate to have skated alongside Guy a few times. Lovely man, incredible player. George Laraque, who skated on the same ice and on the same team, saying this, once again, the hockey world lost a giant, our idol, Guy Lafleur. My deepest condolences to all those affected. Quebec is in mourning. Guy was an exceptional man, generous and very close to his fans. Quebec is in mourning. The references to his generosity, we are hearing them throughout the morning as the reaction comes in. Terry Moser, the legendary Aislinn cartoonist, putting out a cartoon showing, and of course, just having really a matter of hours to put it together. There it is. Guy Lafleur flying as he did down the ice and now flying to another destination there. The tribute coming out. And finally, we're getting tributes from fans as well. And we're going to show you some photographs put together by they're in Toronto, but it's called World Famous Peter's Barber Shop and Museum. And it is obviously a tribute to sports memorabilia, and there he is, Guy Lafleur, in the shop signing autographs, and the reference made when they say too many to choose from in terms of the memories that they got when Guy Lafleur visited their shop. One of thousands of fans across this country paying tribute to the Flower. Savannah?
Thanks for that, John. That's CBC's John Northcott in Toronto. We're going to continue with this story because there are just so many things to say, good things about Guy Lafleur. Our chase team has reached Stephen Finn in Blainville, Quebec. He's a former player with the Quebec Nordiques. He's a former teammate of Guy Lafleur. Not too many people can say that. I'm so glad you're joining us, Stephen. I want to know, on this day when we've got this breaking news, what is in your heart?
Well, I'm very sad. I learned the news when I woke up this morning, and I was shaken by the news. I knew obviously it was coming. I knew he was struggling the last few days, the last few weeks, but it's tough to see a guy like that go that young.
It seemed that he had so much life on the ice. What was he like off the ice when you guys were traveling from game to game, when you were staying at hotels, when you were trying to support each other in the dressing room? What was he like?
I heard you guys mention generous. I mean, he's one of the most generous guys I had the chance to meet. He was, I would say, pride as well. He was a very proud man. Very passionate. I mean, it was a dream come true to be able to play with him for a few years.
And that smile, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him looking sad, even when he, the Habs would lose a game, because he was just one of those guys. Did he just pick up the whole dressing room?
Well, yeah, you're right. And a story when Guy, the first time he walked in the Quebec Nordique dressing room, as you guys know, the last 2 years of his career, that's where he played. But he had a short retirement for 3 years. He was already inducted in the Hall of Fame. So when he walked in the dressing room, even though he was a teammate, it's funny, but all the players were taking pictures with him, asking him for autograph, and that was a very uncomfortable situation for him because he was a very humble man. But that tells you the impact he can have, in a NHL dressing room. Yeah,
it must have been weird because he's only one of two players who retired and came back, or I guess three now because of Lemieux, right? And then, here's this hero, this icon, this guy who's already got his name in the dressing room or in the Hockey Hall of Fame walking into your dressing room. What did you do?
The same thing. I was probably one of the first one to ask him for an autograph, a picture, and what I remember about Guy, and you guys said it, he's not only a hero in Montreal or Quebec, he's a Canadian hero. And what I remember, he was 40. The last year I played with him, he was probably around 40. He was like a kid in practice. Every time I would go in the corner with him, I would battle hard because that's what he wanted. I would play him physical, and he enjoyed it. He was smiling. He had fun. He was like a young kid, even when he was 40. And I never seen that in my career. When he said, it's finally over, this is my last year in the NHL, every Canadian team that we went and visited, it was Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, every team had a tribute for him. They had a ceremony before the game, even though he didn't play for their team, so just to thank him for all the memories.
And I can see that happening. I mean, people standing up and applauding him for minutes at a time. Even in Montreal, when he was no longer playing with them, when he was playing with the Rangers, actually, before he came to your team and came to the Nordique. You mentioned, though, that he was humble. And I found something in some of the things I've been reading about Monsieur Lafleur. And there was a quote that was ascribed to him. And he said, "I think if I would have told my mom about this when I was 10 years old, she would have whacked me upside the head." I mean, that's a humble guy. He didn't, who would have expected it, right?
Yeah, I know. And you know what? Like you said, he was always smiling. But that guy, it wasn't an easy life. He was a superstar since he's probably 10 or 11 or 12 years old. That's a lot of pressure he had to carry all his career. But he did it with a lot of pride and a lot of success. And like I said, it was a true honor to be able to know him and to be his teammate.
Final question for you, Stephen. I hear stories about, celebrity sports stars who aren't very nice to fans, who pay for their salaries and keep them in the position in which they are. How would you describe Guy Lafleur with his fans? Because he, as you say, a lot of pressure. It would be easy to say, I don't have time, I got to go, I got other things to do. What was he like?
I never seen a man or player like that in my career. An afternoon game, obviously there were more kids at the rink. Guy, when he got out of the dressing room, he would sign an autograph for every kid, even if it took him an hour. He wouldn't leave before he signed an autograph for every kid. I've never seen a guy like that. And quick personal story. I don't know if you guys know, but I lost my oldest son to cancer 5 years ago. And at the funeral home, the day we took people wishes, and I don't know how to say in English, but anyway, the funeral home opened at the funeral home opened at 8:30. The first guy I saw walk in the room was Guy Lafleur. Other than my close family, so that's something I will never forget, and that it describes Guy. It was a few years, obviously, that we didn't see each other, but he was the first guy to show up, and that's something I'll never forget.
You know what? That really says a lot about a person and his character. I'm sorry to hear about your son, and I hope your heart is healing from that. But I thank you so much, Stephen, for sharing your memories, for talking about a guy that we're all talking about across the country today.
Thank you.
Stephen Finn.
Thank you for your time.
That is Stephen Finn in Blainville, Quebec. He was a team member with Guy Lafleur on the Quebec Nordique.